All right,
Good
ladies and
evening.
gentlemen, welcome to the IACT IMDHA HypnoExpo Presenters Series, preparing for HypnoExpo 2022. We are joined this evening by our guest, Rob DeGroof, who's going to talk to us about his seminar on three powerful techniques, or three powerful tools, I believe it is. I'm sorry if I misquoted the title, but powerful is the operant word there. So, Karen, would you like to introduce Rob?
I absolutely would. It is three powerful techniques, and it is a 1 day course on Thursday prior to the conference. And I would love to introduce Rob DeGroof because I've got to let you know it was at an IACT, IMDHA conference that I met Rob and had wonderful conversations with him. I can't wait, Rob, to get to see you again in person this year. And the 1 day pre conference workshop is on three different or powerful techniques. Okay, Rob, you and I. First of all, let me say Rob's coming to us from Belgium. And what time is it there?
I'm actually in Bulgaria. It's
Oh, in
even 1 hour
Bulgaria.
later. Yeah, I have an office here in Bulgaria as well. Now it's 4:19 in the morning. So
You
yeah,
know, I should say something
I
about.
just woke up at 3:45.
Thank you so much for getting up so early in your morning and joining us. I should tell you a couple of things about Rob before I just launch into this thing. He is one of Europe's leading hypnotists and the owner of the very successful Hypnosis Center in Belgium, where he's working together with 8 hypnotists, hypnotherapists, in 3 different cities. Now, we've already talked about Belgium and Bulgaria, and he's just all over the place. As the owner of the head trainer of the European Hypnosis Academy, he's already trained a few hundred students in the wonderful art of direct hypnosis while teaching at the school in Belgium or traveling throughout the world. I guess I know you best, Rob, as teaching the Jeffrey Stevens protocol. And
Yeah.
is that what the three powerful techniques comes from? Or is
Yeah,
it
the yeah,
entirely?
there are actually three techniques that are developed also by Jeffrey Stevens. So it's not the actual Jeffrey Stevens protocol because that's a 2 day training. But these are extra techniques that you can use independently from any other protocol, also independently from the Jeffrey Stevens protocol. So it's actually the good thing with these three techniques is that you can use them even without a formal induction. I always use them with an induction because I promote myself, I market myself as a hypnotherapist. So people come to my office or come to one of my therapists. And then we always use it within a formal induction. But I train also in Belgium or somewhere else in the world. Sometimes students they work as nurses or they work as a psychologist and they can't use hypnosis all the time, especially in Belgium sometimes when you work more in a clinical setting and you're not the big boss yourself. So sometimes they don't allow you to use hypnosis. So people can use those techniques without a formal induction. So that's something has an extra value with those techniques. So there are actually three different techniques that we will go over in this 1 day. And how this is going to happen is quite simple. I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to explain, and then we're going to do some exercises, of course, because my trainings are always really hands-on. I like to see the people in action. I like to that people have the experience on the spot, that they can see what this technique is doing, and I think that's really important. So I'm really into yeah, demonstrating and then let people have the experience right away.
Cool. So, Rob, as we get into this, some people may not be familiar with Jeffrey Stevens, and I think it'd be interesting for you to just tell us a little bit about who is this guy and why should we want to learn?
Yeah, so Jeffrey was my mentor. He used to live. He was born in Texas, and he used to live in Peevely, Missouri. And I came in contact with Jeffrey Stevens. It's actually he's the reason that I started doing hypnotherapy, because when I started to learn hypnosis, when my interest in hypnosis came, My only interest was entertainment, because I have a background in entertainment. So I used to be on stage before I even started with this. So I was running a company in entertainment. So I had my own clown show. I did magic shows. I did mentalism, balloon modeling, fire spitting, juggling, stilt walking, whatever the client needs, I did. So I had 40 freelance artists working for me. But 80% of the time I was actually working for children, and I was getting a bit tired of working for children. And I wanted to do some more stuff for an adult audience. So one of my problems and one of my big frustrations is that I can't sing. I'm a really terrible singer. So I was a bit limited in the options. So there were only two options left. Or I could become a stripper, or I could become a hypnotist. But being a stripper, that career is not that long. There's a certain time that you need to stop being a stripper. So I decided to go for hypnosis. So, and then I started wandering around in Belgium online to see if I could find a training in hypnosis, but not there were no trainings that were really appealing to me. And so I gave up a bit the search. I bought a book, I read a book, I watched some DVDs. But then, as it was supposed to happen, I got this email, an invitation from a magic shop that in the Netherlands. And it was on an evening lecture on hypnosis. A guy from Mexico who was working in the Netherlands. Also did some television work with hypnosis, and he was going to do a lecture on hypnosis. So I drove together with a few of my my employees, my freelance artists, to the Netherlands to that lecture. And after that lecture, I had a chat with the guy, and he said, "Yeah, but I can train you to become a show hypnotist." Or stage hypnotist, and I also met some other guys there, and they say, "Yeah, but we have a meetup with Belgian hypnotherapists or hypnotists, and guys from the Netherlands, and every month we meet up, and I'm going to invite you to the meeting." So yeah, everything started rolling, and there was a certain day that one of the guys that I met at that lecture, he called me and he said, "Rob, I bought DVDs from a guy called Jeffrey Stevens." And he said, and I asked him immediately, "Is it stage or street hypnosis?" And he said, "No, it's change work." And I said, "Eric, I don't want to do change work. It's not for me," because in my mind, doing therapy was, I didn't have anything to do with therapy at the time. So in my mind, therapy was people are coming in and they tell you the entire story of their life, and they just annoy you with the stories. And I'm not a patient guy. And I was like, no, that's not for me. I don't want to do therapy. And he said, "No, Rob, you really have to watch these DVDs, because this is powerful hypnosis, no nonsense hypnosis. It's created for you. It's right on your alley." I say, "Okay, let's watch the DVDs." And I start watching the DVDs. And after like 1 hour, I told my staff that was working at the time, my secretary and a technical guy, I say, "Okay, guys, I'm going to take the day off. I don't want to be disturbed. No telephones for me, no questions for me. Write everything down, and I will answer in the evening, because I want to keep watching these training. I want to keep watching these DVDs." So there was Jeffrey Stevens explaining the Jeffrey Stevens protocol, and I saw him. He demonstrated therapy sessions from like 15 minutes, where you do an induction, you work with the client, exduction, and that's it. And I was like, whoa. And I thought, maybe on this way I can do some therapy sessions, because at that time, and this is something that I wrote in my new book about, and I also tell my students during the 7-day training in Belgium all the time. I always tell them, hypnosis is about seeing the people, is about hypnotizing people, not about reading books, not about going from one training to the other. It's good that you do trainings, but you have to actually hypnotize people. And that's one of the problems that I see in Belgium with my students. They do one training after another training, but in between they're not hypnotizing people. So I think that's a mistake. So, and in Belgium, it's not that easy to do stage hypnosis and to hypnotize a lot of people, because first, it's a very small country. We only have 11 million people. And then the biggest problem is There's another problem. It's actually forbidden by law to do stage hypnosis, but as we are Belgians, we don't care about that. We just do it. It's a very strange law. Nobody is acting on it because they never described hypnosis in the law, so they actually can't act on it. But the problem in Belgium is, where is the money for stage hypnosis? In corporate, of course. But Belgium is a 3-language country. So we're only 11 million people. And of that 11 million people, 4 million are speaking French. A little part is speaking German. But when you go corporate, they will tell you, hey, Rob, yeah, we really want your hypnosis show. But in the audience will be French speakers, will be Dutch speakers, and probably some English speakers as well, because probably they have some international guests. So they ask you to do the show in 1, 2, or 3 languages. But it's impossible to do a hypnosis show when you have to say everything twice. I did it for children entertainment. I can speak French, but I can't hypnotize in French because I'm not used to hypnotize in French. So the market is very small in Belgium. So doing only street hypnosis or entertainment hypnosis would give me maybe like 5 gigs a year. So not hypnotizing people a lot. And especially in the beginning, I said, yeah, that will not be enough to become a good hypnotist. So I told my secretary and my wife at the time, I said, yeah, maybe I can, with this new technique that I just learned, the Jeffrey Stevens protocol, maybe I can do some change work. And maybe I will see 2 or 3 clients a week, and then I can get busy with hypnotizing people. So I created this little website called Hypnotherapy Aarschot. It was not yet Hypnosis Center at that time. And I used the same marketing as I did for my entertainment business, Google AdWords, a lot of online marketing. But the thing that I did, and that was not common in Belgium, I promoted it as a 1-session thing. So stop smoking, 1 session, weight loss, 1 session, everything, 1 session. That was our approach in the beginning. And using those Google AdWords in my entertainment business, I was also the first to use Google AdWords. Of course, later other competitors start using it as well. But in hypnotherapy, I was the very first in Belgium using Google AdWords. So 3 months later, instead of doing 2 or 3 sessions a week, I had a full-time hypnotherapy business. So like 3 months, people were calling. My secretary had to say, no, you have to wait for 3 weeks, because I was doing this in my office at home, where sometimes before a client came for stop smoking, there was one of my artists who came in to put his stilts and his juggling equipment there. So it was actually totally not professionally, because sometimes I had to go do 3 or 4 sessions. Then I had to go as a clown to do a children's birthday, come back, do another session. So it was totally, but yeah, it happened. It just and it's also one thing that I wrote in my book about. A few years ago, when I was in it was still in Daytona Beach, the last time I was at the HypnoExpo convention, and we had dinner with Shawn Michael Andrews, the Almonds, and Sheila Granger, and some people were asking me questions about my big hypnotherapy business, because now it's I work with 8 hypnotherapists in 3 different cities. We actually closed down one, but we reopened 2 others yesterday. So we are a bit relocating in Belgium. So we're actually working in 4 cities now with 8 hypnotherapists, and we're doing online sessions now as well after the pandemic, of course. And Sheila Granger said, Rob, the thing what you did in Belgium is you disrupted the market, and that's why I became so big in Belgium, because of the fact that I came with something totally new. Because at that time, when you were looking for like stop smoking, there were quite some psychologists doing hypnosis for stop smoking, 5 sessions.
Yeah.
Okay, for a very low amount, and I came with my 1 session and with good results, because of course you can come with whatever you want, but you need the results. Because online marketing, it's good. You can pay a lot of money to Google AdWords and Facebook, but mouth to mouth, it's the most strongest advertising that you can have, having results. And that's what we're having at the moment. So we all my therapists are having good results, and they got a lot of referrals, and That's why even in the pandemic, why a lot of my students were having really problems, we were still seeing clients, not as much as before the pandemic, of course, everything was slowing down, but we survived because of the fact that we have good results. And 80% of the time, my therapists and myself are using that Jeffrey Stevens protocol. So Jeffrey died a few years ago. And actually, at that time, I was already trained to be his trainer in Europe, together with a colleague from the Netherlands. And then when Jeffrey died, the family contacted me and they asked me if I was willing to do the trainings worldwide, because his son was also able to do the trainings, but he was very young at the time. He was like 26 or 27 or even younger. And he said, for me, Rob, it's too emotional. I don't want to have anything to do with hypnosis at the moment, because that was my father's thing. And Jeffrey died really, really suddenly. So he was diagnosed with liver cancer, and 14 days later he died. So it was a shock for all of us. So Jeremy asked me to take over the trainings. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm traveling the world. Of course, the last 2 years, it was more traveling virtually, like we're doing now. And I teach people in the Jeffrey Stevens protocol. And actually, the training that I'm going to do in Orlando is what we call in Belgium the Jeffrey Stevens Advanced. But this is a training with 3 techniques that you can do separately from the Jeffrey Stevens protocol.
Great. So by the way, when you said, and forgive me for just backing up a little bit, when you were talking about doing hypnosis in 3 languages, this is an amazing thing to me, because something that I'm really clear about, and I studied languages, when I was in university, I speak Spanish as a second language, and it's really the only one I speak very much. But I've discovered that I have a different persona in Spanish, and when you shift languages, there's a whole different thing about how you relate and connect to the world. That's just how powerful language is. So I can, when you said I can't do hypnosis in French, that seemed to resonate with me. But also,
but that's correct. When I hypnotize in English, I use different wordings because even when I hypnotize in Dutch language. And it's also something I wrote about in my book. Sometimes English is easier to hypnotize than Dutch language, because sometimes I can say things in English that I sometimes need in English with like 2 or 3 words, and in Dutch sometimes I need an entire sentence. And also sometimes the pace is better in English. And one thing that I do, I hypnotize in Dutch language. But all the way down, I don't translate. I say it in English, because when you say it in Dutch, it doesn't sound like a deepener. When you just translate it literally, it's helemaal naar beneden. Yeah, that's Dutch, but that doesn't sound like all the way down. You can put some you can put some emotion in it. You can put some feeling in it, and in Dutch you can't. Not with that sentence. So I do my entire session in Dutch, but when I want to say all the way down, I just say it in English. And I think, and actually it was one of my therapists who wanted to do, actually she had planned a world traveling, but it never happened because she broke up with her boyfriend and things like that. But and actually one of the plans that she had was traveling the world and trying to hypnotize people just using her own language, and to see if you can hypnotize, and I'm quite sure you can, to see if you can hypnotize people even when they don't understand the words, just by intent, just by putting your intention in it and your mindset. And I think it's possible. Yeah. Because sometimes in Belgium, of course, we have a lot of people in Belgium who are not native Dutch speakers, so we get them. And then sometimes they say, yeah, you can do the session in English, maybe you can do the session in Dutch, but my Dutch is not that good. But as long as they can understand me, and I'm quite sure that their subconscious mind understands much more than they understand on a conscious level, because the subconscious mind has all those words that they ever learned, but they maybe can't remember consciously. So I always go for hypnotizing in my own language, because I can hypnotize in English, but I will always be much stronger and much powerful when I hypnotize in my own language, because then I can be more congruent. Because of course I hypnotize a lot in English these days because I have a lot of clients all around the world. But even I'm more used to hypnotize in Dutch. So when I can hypnotize in Dutch, then I prefer to hypnotize in Dutch. When I will do it in English, of course. But in French, I can do a full conversation in French, but I can't hypnotize in French. I tried it once. It's terrible. It's not the easiest language to hypnotize in, because I have a trainer now in Belgium, and one of my therapists is also, no, two of my therapists are also doing sessions in French language. And I have a trainer now, Nancy Borello, and she's going to do the Jeffrey Stevens protocol in the French-speaking part of Belgium and in France. But she sent me a video of a full session that she did, and yeah, I can understand everything that's going on, but I would never be able to hypnotize in French. No, can't do it.
I had a student like in the very early 80s that had come to the States from Switzerland, and he took my class and he was learning how to do hypnosis, and then halfway through it he said, I wonder if I'll be able to do this in Swiss German when I get back home. And I said, well, why don't we find out now? And can I tell you something about Swiss? I'm going to tell you something about Swiss German. I was doing an out of the blue hypnosis training in Zurich, and it was actually they were all magicians, and I was going to teach them hypnosis for entertainers. So a 2-day training, instant induction, how you can do street hypnosis so that they can combine it with their magic. And we agreed that I was going to do the training in English, of course, and they were going to do the practice in German or Swiss German. So I can understand German language. I can't speak it a lot, but I can understand. So even when they were doing the exercise, I could walk around and hear what they were saying and maybe adjust here and there. So, and the first thing that I asked them to do was I demonstrated an 8-word induction, and they start doing the exercise, and the entire room was, and I don't know if you know German, but Swiss German is totally different than just how they call it High German. And they start doing the exercise, and the entire room was like, Schlaf, Teufel und Teufel und Teufel, and it was sounding really, really hard, and it didn't sound like a deepener. And I said, "Hey guys, this is not a military drill. So no, maybe when you say in normal German, it's tiefer. In it's deeper in English, deeper in Dutch. It's actually sounding almost the same. Tiefer in German, and they say Teufel. So they were like Teufel and Teufel and Teufel, like giving instructions. I said, no, it has to sound like a deepener. It's so it was like the entire room was like really strange language. So I think it's really funny to. I actually created a magic trick. It's called Sleep, and that magic trick is working with all the different comments. Sleep in all different languages. So like in Russian it's spot, I think. In Bulgarian it's spi, and then I have an entire list with the command sleep in all different languages. Nice. So when you first started talking about this, and Jeffrey in particular, one of the things that you said that attracted you to it, you've actually already answered my question, by the way, that I'm about to ask, but I've got somewhere to take it. You said that you were attracted to it because it was powerful hypnosis, because it was, and the phrase that I heard you say was no nonsense hypnosis. I think that's really interesting. It's certainly a part of your branding in terms of how you operate and how you're known. I'd like to hear a little bit about that, in particular with regard to these. We've got 3 techniques, for example, that you're going to. So tell us about that.
So the thing what I like about the way that we work is even when a client comes in, I don't want the client to tell stories. I only want to know what's your problem and what do you want instead. So I don't want them to tell their entire life story, because let's say and I think that the problem came from here. I'm not interested in that. I don't work on a conscious level. So for me, I have a few of my therapists who do also some coaching. If the clients really want to have a talk, They can do more like a coaching session, but that's not me. With me, they come in and I'm going to hypnotize them. I work with the subconscious mind. And so like for the Jeffrey Stevens protocol, I only want to know what's your problem, what do you want instead, and what will be different in your life. And then we start working. So and the good thing with symbology, one of the first techniques that I'm going to teach that day in Orlando, with the symbology technique, this is a technique that we mostly use for phobias. Jeffrey used it a lot for PTSD also. He worked a lot with guys from the military in the United States with PTSD. But the very good thing with symbology is that you even, and also with the black room technique, the other one, you even don't have to know what the client's problem is. You can work totally content free. I never had it that a client didn't want to explain what the problem is. But let's say you have this client and he says, yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. You actually can work with it totally content free. And in symbology, and I use it a lot, you can't use symbology with every single client. That's something that I will discuss also in the training. And I will even show a video of one of my clients who was not able to or not understanding the technique. So sometimes you have clients who just don't get this specific technique, but that's not a problem, because then you can switch to another technique. But and one of the things that I added to this technique is that I changed something in the pre-talk or the preparation of the session, so that I actually know before that my client is good for this technique or not. So that's something that I will teach as well. So and the good thing with symbology is that you give your clients something to take away. And this is something that I use all the time, because when I did symbology with myself a few times, and yeah, I have this resource now. I can go back to that resource, and one of the very strange things is that there is a moment in the session that you ask people to go to this safe place, and there you will install the resource and they can go back to that safe place. And there is one strange thing whenever, and it's not only in this technique, but I had it with when Tim Box was at my training school in Belgium. There was also an exercise where you have to go to a safe place. And there is a strange thing happening whenever I'm hypnotized and they ask me to go to a safe place. I always end up, and you will never believe that is a safe place. For me, my safe place is Times Square, New York.
No.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I arrived there, but I know why, because I'm really into big screens. I really love big screens. And what's the place to be to see big screens? Times Square, New York. And yeah, for the guys who ever been to Times Square, New York recently, there is this like stairs, the like red stairs where you can go sit and watch all the big screens on Times Square. And I always end up on that stage, actually sitting on that stage. That's my safe place to go. It's so crazy. So this is something that we use in this technique, and also in the black room technique. The black room technique is a very good technique that you will not use on a daily basis, but it's more a technique that you use with sports people, but also with performers. I used it actually very much with performers. So what's actually happening, it's a kind of deep trance modeling technique, where you put somebody in a black room, in the other room, they can see the model. And one of the things that is really important in this technique is that people sometimes think that the model always have to be a very famous person. So when I do the training and when I do the demonstration, a lot of time, of course, because they are therapists and sometimes they need to go and stand in front of a group and speak. And a lot of people are anxious about that, or they don't have the public speaking qualities. And then I say, okay, gonna do a black room session for this. And at that time, they always pick some famous person like Barack Obama or somebody who's very good at public speaking. But I worked a lot also with performers, and you don't have to take that famous person all the time. So one of the examples that I did, I worked with a guitar player, And he was not like a professional guitar player, but he was more like the weekend guitar player, and he played in a band. And he took, instead of taking a very famous guitar player, he actually wanted to be modeled to his colleague in that same group, because he says, I'm very technical and I'm playing my guitar, and that other guy, he's just enjoying himself. He's just standing on that stage enjoying himself, and I'm always thinking about, yeah, I have to do this and I have to do that, and I'm actually not enjoying myself playing the guitar. So I used the black room technique to take over that more having fun on stage, and that quality of just enjoying and also playing good music, of course. And he used his colleague, so not a famous model. And I think that's really important, because I work a lot with golf players, and of course everybody wants to be the next Tiger Woods, but that's not possible, because you have the talent, but you also a lot of those amateur golfers who are coming in, they don't have the time to go and practice every single day. They don't have the time to hit 200 balls on the driving range. They don't have the time to go to the fitness every single day and to go for a run. So yeah, it's normal that you can't become the next Tiger Woods, even when you have the talent. So sometimes it's just better to take somebody that is closer to you, with the same levels of talent, or the same levels of qualities, and take over some behavior, some qualities, some skills from that person. So that's the black room technique about. So it's more meant to work with sports people and performers, but also salespeople. You can also work with salespeople, because that's something that I had myself, or people who want to do some vlogs on the internet, or things like that. So everything that's more like performing, whether it's sports or culture, or more artistic. And then the third technique is it's actually called the golf protocol, but it's a technique, and I call it the golf protocol, because in the training I will give golf as an example, but you can actually use the technique with all different types of sports. And it's actually a technique to make sure that the person that you're working with, your client, will be able to get in the zone all the time. So you can even do it with a hypnotherapist. So let's say in the training room, and there's no golfer sign up for the training, then I can do a demonstration with a hypnotherapist, and I can say, okay, I'm going to make sure that every time you're ready to do a session, or you're ready to hypnotize somebody, whether it's on a demonstration or a session in your therapy room, you will be ready to perform at your best. Because I think it's also really important that as a hypnotherapist, that you are in the right space as well, that you are in the zone as well. Because to give an example, when I did entertainment, I never canceled a show. I was on stage with the flu, I was on stage with hangovers, I was on stage with whatever you want, but the show must go on. But I did cancel quite some therapy days, because when I'm sick, I don't do a therapy session, because I want also be able to put 100% of my energy in it. As I said, my sessions are very short. I sometimes do 8-minute sessions from induction to exduction, 8 minutes, not longer. 10 minutes, and sometimes when I do other techniques, it might be 12 minutes, but that's a maximum for me. But I put a lot of power in it. I always use instant inductions. I never do progressive muscle relaxations or whatever. Instant inductions, that's the only thing I use. And then 8-10 minutes work, exduction, and that's it. But I put a lot of power in it. Like I'm talking now, I'm talking to my clients. I put a lot of power in my sessions, and people will see it, because I will do a lot of demonstrations in this training as well. And that's actually the topic that I'm going to talk on the actual convention. People are not very long in my therapy room, because I don't do pre-talks. All my pre-talks are digital, and that's the topic that I'm going to discuss at the convention. I send people a digital pre-talk video, and I have my reasons for this, and I will explain that in my presentation, of course. But the main reason is quite simple. I want people to be very well prepared for a session. And when you do your pre-talk in a therapy room, most of the people are a bit anxious, they are stressed, they were in a traffic jam, they just arrived on time. And then you start talking about, you're not going to be asleep, and then you can hear everything, you have to follow my instructions. And the information doesn't have time to sink in. And now all my clients, all the clients of the Hypnosis Center in Belgium, they get a video. The moment they book the session, they get a video. They see my face or one of my therapists, because we and that's the second part of my presentation. We use interactive videos now. For my hypno fasting protocol, I created an interactive video so people can actually make choices in the video. So they only see the information that's actually meant for them. So they don't get any extra information that they're not interested in. So they arrive in my therapy room and they are prepared. I don't have to explain anything anymore. I ask some questions to make sure that they actually watch the video, because not every client is actually following the instructions from the first moment. But then of course, you know that what type of client you have before you. But they're prepared. They had time to watch the video at home. So actually the people are not very long in my therapy room, but I start with the work even the moment they book the session.
This is great.
Rob, I know. I'm sorry, Mike.
There's an echo in here. The use of the technology is great, by the way. And I just live down the street from where Jerry Kine used to be. And Jerry started out with videos for his pre-talk and stuff like that. Now we've moved a little bit farther. We're doing it online. We're doing it beforehand and all of that stuff. That's just really kind of lovely. And in keeping with that, and I got to tell you, remember, I'm in Florida, so I appreciate you can use the golf protocol for a number of things. But I'll tell you what, it's a market here. I know. Of money.
I know.
Yeah. So
I will actually come to Orlando a few days before, and after the convention, I stay another week just to play golf there.
Oh, great.
My wife is coming along. She also plays golf. So I'm actually, so maybe this is maybe you guys know some golf clubs over there. I'm actually looking for some golf clubs where I can maybe do a presentation on hypnosis for golfers or whatever. So if you have any contacts there, send them to me.
You have an app then. Speaking of the technology, as I was saying, you have an app for golf or something. Is that right?
Yeah. I created an application, and it's actually, so when there are golf players out there, you can go to hypnosis for golfers. I will type it in the chat. I think that's the easiest way to do. Just a second. So the website is hypnosisforgolfers.com, but when you add /PWAA like this, so then you have to open this link on your smartphone. That's really important, because it will open the app immediately. So when you go on a desktop to this, it's not going to look nice. But when you open it on your smartphone, it will open the application. And then it's a free application that I created for, this is the English one. I have a Dutch one as well. So that's one of the things that I started doing recently. So I will, I can show you the app. So it looks like this, maybe, yeah. So, and people can, of course, there is information about what hypnosis can mean for golfers. There are 2 audio hypnosis recordings for golfers, 2 videos on mental golf game, one about negative thoughts and negative thinking, one about aiming for what you want. So a lot of golf players, they are on the tee box and they say, I don't want to hit in the water. No, don't say that. Say, I want to hit on the fairway, and things like that. I explain those things. There are some breathing exercise. There's a yoga stretch exercise, and all for free. So actually, I start creating these applications because I always want to innovate my business. And for maybe there are some people out there who are into virtual gastric band. Together with Sheila Granger, I created a virtual gastric band application to give to your clients. So I created this offer. So if people are interested, just send me an email to rob@europeanhypnosisacademy.com, and I send you all the information. So it's actually an app that you will give to your virtual gastric band clients. with a lot of extra in it. So I want to give people value. So especially when they sign up for a program in Belgium, we ask $6.95 for a virtual gastric band that's euros. So that's something like $780 or something. And people get the application, and in the application, of course, they can find their recordings that they have to listen to on a daily basis. So they have it with them. They have extra recordings. They have high interval training workout videos. They have recipes in it. They have a lot of extras in it. And I think it's really important to give people something that they have on their phone. And the other thing is, the moment that you're in their phone, maybe 1 year later, they have another problem, and they just can go to the application of virtual gastric band or golf or whatever, and with one click on the button, they can make another appointment with you. And I think it's really important to go with the modern times and create. And that's one of the things. I don't see many clients anymore. I still see clients, but not like 30 clients a week anymore, because I have to run the show, I have to do the marketing, I have to travel to do the trainings, and managing a team of 8 hypnotherapists is also a lot of work, I can tell you. But I like to do being the entrepreneur and innovating the business and creating new protocols, like I did with hypnofasting now, like I do with the hypnosis for golfers now. So always innovating the business, creating new techniques and new stuff like these applications. And so yeah, that's something that I do as well.
So
I just want to remind you that Rob DeGroof's pre-conference is Thursday, the 22nd, 3 powerful techniques. And Rob, I got to know, somewhere along the line on that day, are you gonna tell us how you explain to clients you're going to see them and charge what we charge, and you're only going to see them for 8 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to know how I'm going to explain that after 8 minutes you're gone, and I still
No.
you still prepaid.
They are like, let's give me the example of a stop smoking client. He will be in my office for 30 minutes. So because they come in, I have to ask some questions, of course. First, what's your name? No, because I use direct hypnosis. No, I once did an entire session using the wrong name, so I will never have that problem anymore. I was seeing so many clients that time. It was in the beginning years, still at my home, and I was doing the entire session, and it's direct hypnosis. So I was talking. I talk directly to the subconscious mind about that person. And I was saying, yeah, and then you have to create this for Vicky and whatever. And then I said, not your head if you accept and understand. And there was this little voice, that's not my name.
Vicky got some
the entire session with the wrong name. My colleague in the Netherlands, he had another problem. He did an entire session for weight loss with the wrong weight, and it was more than that she her weight was at that time. So that's so I just redid that session with the correct name. So I will never. I always have the name in big writing on my form. So I always can look at that, what the actual name is.
Well, I want to close this out, Rob, just saying.
Of course, sometimes you have this. Sometimes people are like, but in my pre-talk video, I also explained that the sessions are short because of the fact that we use the most modern hypnosis techniques. Suggestion, of course. But I think when people are informed that the sessions are not like an hour, and sometimes you can explain it, because I say I don't need 1 hour to fix your problem, even when you have that problem for 15 years. And of course, some people don't get it because they say, oh, but my problem is so big that you're probably gonna need an hour. I say, no, I don't need an hour. Maybe I need a second session, because sometimes I'm not telling my clients that one session will do the trick all the time, because that's not true. Sometimes you need something extra. But I think having a very short but powerful session is much better than having a long, lengthy session where you can make mistakes. Because just saying a wrong suggestion, just why always repeating yourself? No, just inform the subconscious mind of what you want, and especially inform the subconscious mind of why it should be doing this. And I think that's what you need. And of course, sometimes you get this reaction of a client. Yeah, I was really surprised about the length of the session because yeah, this problem. And a friend of mine, she went to this other hypnotherapist, and she was in there for 1 hour and a half. Yep, okay. But yeah. Yeah, but I always give the explanation of this. These are new techniques. They're the most modern techniques, and they are powerful. And that's most of the time the explanation I give about the length of the sessions. Yeah, right. I must say my team members, they do a bit longer sessions. They do a bit more talking before. And the one thing that I don't want, and one thing that I always tell my students. The moment you have the introduction, you only have like 1 or 2 minutes to kick them out of your office. Yeah. Because I think most of the therapy sessions are redone after the session. Don't talk too much after the session anymore. Talk about the weather, talk about football, whatever, about the children, but not about the session, not about the problem anymore. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people are doing, because they want to be too friendly with their client, and they're still answering the questions. And yeah, what if this is not going to work, and I still have no, don't talk about that anymore. Stop talking about no.
Speaking about long sessions, Rob, we are running overtime here. So, and I want you to notice that this guy does fast, no nonsense hypnosis, because he can put an hour and a half worth of material inside of 15 minutes, as he has just done with us. So we're looking forward to seeing you in Orlando, Rob, and everybody. Again, Thursday, May 12th, before the conference weekend, is going to be Rob's presentation. Get out there online and sign up for this one if you're interested in spending a day with no nonsense and lots of great hypnosis. So thanks again, Rob, for being with us. And
don't forget the sunscreen while you're golfing.
Hey, yeah.
No. I actually go to bed now for a few more hours, and then I drive to. I'm in Bulgaria now, so then I drive to the golf course here in Bulgaria. And
no, I meant when you're here in Orlando is what I meant.
Yeah.
A couple of days before the concert, be sure you put on.
I know. Yeah. I was there when I was there in May. I think it was 3 years ago when I was in Daytona Beach. It was really warm there as well. No, I will.
We'll see you soon. Thank you for being up in the middle of the night with us.
All right. Yeah.
You're welcome. Looking forward to see you live.
Great. See you soon.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
With us tonight, and we'll see you next week. Next week, by the way, just so that I can mention it, we will have Sherry Gilbert. I hope that I'm remembering correctly. Sherry Gilbert and is it Sherry? I think it's Sherry Gilbert and Sherry. Help me, not Sherry. Sheila Granger, rather. Sherry and Sheila.
Sheila Granger. Sherry Gilbert.
Sheila
Granger. Yeah, and they're going to be great. Sheila's going to talk about hypnosis for long-term health conditions, and Sherry Gilbert is sharing her 6-week smoking cessation for groups protocol. So come and join us, same time, same bat channel, a week from now, and we will look forward to seeing you then, and seeing you here in Orlando for the HypnoExpo 2022. Good night, everybody.